Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. More iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, and this time it is going to be the Stars and Cars, the TNT Shock Series, coming to you from Rockingham Speedway, Rockingham, North Carolina. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth, as always, by the Bizzler, Mr. Patrick Byrne, and oh my goodness, we are hearing just craziness and insanity is potentially the order of the day here. For these cars. And Bizzle, first off, are you back with us here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
When no tornadoes here in Northeast Ohio. So
well, that's
a
good start. We hear just the craziness that is the potential for this race, but we're going to kick it off with group qualifying, which is going to sort of give us a taste of things. But it sounds like these cars are going to be very, very tricky to drive.
Yeah, that's what we were hearing pre-race about a couple hours ago when I jumped in. Wes was asking for the car to both be stiffer and softer because he wants more mechanical grip and he wants to stop bottoming out.
Which my math says is not easily possible, I guess is the short way of saying it.
It's not possible. Ray Evernham was trying to solve that question probably his entire career. If I had to guess, that's what he's working on right now in his den in his house. It's just not possible.
Yeah, basically, if you make the car softer to handle the bumps, it's not going to be stiff enough to rotate through the corner the way you want it to. And that is kind of what makes this place a classic compromise racetrack.
It's a big conundrum. It's a feedback loop in either direction you go. You make the car too stiff, it's too unstable over the bumps, it wants to kill you. You make it too soft, now the downforce is going to push the car lower. It's going to push it into the bumps, except now it's soft enough that it's going to rebound with more force off of the bumps, it's going to kill you. You have to find that middle ground where it still sucks, but it manageably sucks.
It manageably sucks. That is exactly what we want to hear. Cars are already starting to get out on towards the racing surface. We'll pick up the 98 of Vic Aldrich. He has not started rolling yet. But Stephen C. Thompson looks like he may be the first car to get out onto the racetrack.
I'd love to catch a glimpse at what's going on.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would help if I gave you the feed. I promise I'll get good at my job someday. So there you go.
We've only been doing this 4 years on the iRacing side now?
Yeah, something like that. Picking up Brian Labarge as well. He's down on the inside of this racing surface. Whole lot of banking here at Rockingham, trying to get the car wound up a little bit, and it's sort of like the old days of NASCAR group qualifying where you don't want to be the car in front. You will not set a pole lap being the car in front of the group.
You say that as the old days, and then I remember that was my junior year of high school they did that, and then I remember that I'm getting old too. That is like, you made me feel old there. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, hey, I am glad we could be of service to you, Mr. Byrne.
Now just think, Chris, that was my junior year of high school. How does that make you feel?
Shut your mouth. So Jason Miller leading this pack. Stephen C. Thompson going to dive down to the inside. Gets that car a little bit squirrely off the paint down on the inside. Taking a look at the weather conditions. 73-degree ambient, 79-degree track temperature, no wind, moderate humidity, absolutely perfect for setting haters of lap times. Get a hold of James Watson here. This is a whole Team Watson Racing flotilla of race cars here. Vic Aldrich up on the outside. Also, the mane and tail entry of J.J. Wang. What's really neat is we kind of don't have a big pack of cars yet. We have 3 cars, 4 cars here. Move back a little bit. Here's Kevin Smalley running in the middle of a train of race cars. Oh, Wes Shire there as well. Wes has to back out of it. He almost ran Mike Long and Kevin Smalley over.
Yeah, that is going to kill Wes's lap. It looked like he was on a heater, too. you kind of got to time the draft perfect and like build up just a gap of about 9/10 of a second when you cross start finish line and close that up perfectly to being side by side with the car when you cross start finish line, or just getting ready to make the overtake.
And McCullen is checking in the comments saying, "You're still a child, Bizzle." If you know what, Bizzle, you should go up into the race control room just to give Em a taste of how childish you still are.
I can absolutely do that.
Take a look here. AJ Camargo making his way down onto pit lane. He's up inside the top 5. Matt Schlosser on the racetrack. He had to back out of the group that he was locked in with. James Watson making his way out onto pit lane. Let's pick up Westshire Brian Lamarge and the 47 of Kevin Smalley. This looks like it could be a good lap for West. Big draft off of turn number 2.
Race control is currently dying up in the booth. I had to remember to turn back down in here.
Yeah, that's a great point. That would not have been appropriate for the listening audience. Simon Fell moves up to the 7th position with 5.5 minutes remaining here in qualifying. I tell you what, though, Bizzle, I love what I'm seeing. Oh, this is 4 wide coming to the start-finish line. And something tells me that's how this race is going to end tonight.
This race might end 5 wide tonight, if we have any hope. Because you are allowed to go below that yellow line, I believe, just on the last lap. That's up to race control. Hopefully they can check in the comments and let us know. Will you allow them to go below the yellow line during the race, or only on the last lap, or not at all?
Yeah, that's a great point. Em is checking into the Discord saying this is going to be a thing. Quite frankly, I think this thing is going to be the thingiest thing that has ever thinged. And I'm looking forward to it. It has the potential to be
a race of all time.
An all-time great race on the iRacing platform. It also has the significant potential to be a dumpster fire. I'm checking in saying no apron. So there you go, Bizzle.
No apron at all. Not even coming to the line in the last lap.
It was communicated in the driver's meeting, no apron unless forced. And unlike NASCAR, I don't change the rules on the last lap. Yes! Thank you.
Oh, come on. This is TNT. We pride ourselves on not having a damn legitimacy to break in the first place.
Yes, that's exactly right. Speaking of not having a damn of legitimacy, the TNT Vintage Indy coming up here during the month of May. Test sessions will go up for that starting soon. One of my favorite shows of the year. You don't want to miss it. I also need to start working up the Delta Force intro for that one as well.
It's a doubleheader this year, too. We're doing Carb Night Classic the Friday before Vintage Indy, and then it's going to be Vintage Indy. So Carb Night Classics, all of the classes that are involved in the actual Carb Night Classic, we're going to sub the midget out for the sprint car. So it'll be sprint car, Silver Crown, TM18, and USF 2000 all around,
IRP
Lucas
at the
Oil
same
Raceway
time. Oh my God.
at the same time.
That's
Then the following
awesome.
night, we're going to follow it up with every generation IndyCar around the Speedway. It's going to be one hell of a weekend.
I am really looking forward to this. I don't know which car you want to run, honestly, at either race. There is something to be said for running the DW12 and running the super fast Indy cars and stuff. But I love the Lotus 79, the 49, and the sprint car. They are just so much fun. And then
I'll be doing the 49 again every year. I just don't think the faster cars are fun. I don't like running them at Indy. We definitely need those guys out on track, though. Props to you guys. It's a difficult combo. I'd say it's harder to run the DW12, the IR18, than it is the Lotus 49. The 49, you can go slow through the corners, you can run the high line, low line. Those faster cars, you have one option of line to run, and there's going to be a car in the way when you get there.
that is exactly right. You almost have to take the slower is faster approach. We've got big trouble. Oh, my goodness. Let's take a look here and get this one up on the replay because this was huge. This is next time by off of turn number 2. The bigness was bigly. Looks like Simon Bell was actually just up ahead, kind of in the middle of this mess. There's the initial contact, and oh my goodness, the big one. Andrew Berry with a wild ride going up and over. That's what we don't want to see tonight.
Simon Fell has me going down a rabbit hole of how to manufacture something. I'm trying to make a shifter plate for the Thrustmaster shifter both me and him have. He 3D printed me one that changed it from an 8-speed to a 5-speed, so you don't go into the wrong gates. It's more realistic for some of the vintage cars that we run. He shifts a lot more delicately than I do, so he hasn't had an issue with it. But the 3D printed ones, I tend to break the gate between first and third gear on them. I've gone through 2 of them so far. So I've been trying to figure out how to either machine one down, either getting a CNC file sent out, which has been fun trying to figure out how to build a CNC file to do that, or I was trying to sandcast one as well. So he's got me down a crazy rabbit hole for the past couple months trying to figure out how to do this. Just side projects in the life of Bizzle.
Yeah, it seems like everything in Bizzle's life is a side project. Sig Robert Kreiser checking in. Robert, good evening, sir. Good luck. I think this weekend you guys are kicking off the season at Lanco's Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. If you are anywhere near central Pennsylvania, you need to get out to that little bull ring of a racetrack. 4 or 5 classes of micro sprints just about every night. And it is incredible. Also, I think they're running a Keith Coons midget show there as well. Just midgets are wild at Lanco. 8th Mile Bristol, Dirt Bristol, I guess is the easiest way to say it. Full, oh God, what's the word I'm thinking of? The kind of banking that's curved. It's like a bowl. Progressive. Yeah, progressive banking. Thank you. Yeah, it is absolutely incredible racing out there. Make sure you get out to see that one before this season's over. But now it's time for us. Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I've never been there. That's right up the road from Reading, right up the road from Pottstown, where I used to live. Now I'm 5.5 hours away, and I got to make a whole weekend trip out of it.
We may have to make a weekend visit to Lanco. I'll say it that way. But field is getting gridded up here and ready to roll on the front straightaway. So let's take a look and show you tonight's starting lineup for the TNT Shock Series at Rockingham. On the pole in the main and tail, number 61, it is J.J. Wang lining up to his outside. The T. Watson Racing Setups National Racing Network, number 39 of James Watson. Row number 2, the Dizzy V Designs, T. Watson Racing Setups 98 of Vic Aldrich. And to his outside, the number 81, former series champion, Andrew Berry. Nietzsche Camargo out of Brazil. And Simon Fell. Let's see. Well, let's see. Do we have a... Oh, look at this. We may have some team shenaniganery here. J.J. Wang and James Watson look like they are. They're on pit lane. Let's finish up the grid quickly here. J.J. Camargo, Simon Fell on row 3. Wes Shire, Dave Sparks on row 4. Jason Miller, Kevin Smalley on row number 5. Row 6, Mike Long and Matt Schlosser. Chris Kresge and Brian Labarge on row number 7. And on the final row will be the number 24 of Stephen C. Thompson. This is... I'm interested by this call, Bizzle. If you think turn 1 is going to be a mess, maybe the start from pit lane is not the worst possible option here. Yeah,
I I don't know if I'd call it a good call, but I don't know that it's a bad call either, if there is a whole ton of carnage.
Well, we are about to find out. We'll see if they can get cleanly through 1 and 2. Watson and Wang are going to roll out basically to the mid-pack. They may have gotten to the go a little early there. But lap number 1 looks like it's going to belong to Vic Aldrich. And again, this race is 50 minutes long, not determined by laps. So if you think the fuel number might be close, that's another way to save yourself. Even just that one pace lap. Shut the car off on pit lane while they're doing a pace lap, and you can buy yourself that tiny little bit of fuel you might need.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's the move, because they were all the way at the front of the field, and now they're right there in the mid-pack where all the carnage is going to be.
Yeah, J.J. Wang in the 7th position, James Watson in position number 10. As Watson sets a new fastest lap of the race at a 22.384. We're picking up Simon Fell. He has Wes Shire just up ahead. Jason Miller right back behind. And now a lot of carnage was predicted. I don't know that we're necessarily seeing it just yet, though. It looks like everybody's being well behaved. I say that and they go 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, they're not going to be well behaved for very long. Have you met these guys?
Well, yeah, Nianjay Camargo clipping the apron ever so slightly, almost sliding up into Andrew Berry. This is your top 3 cars, and Berry making that high side work. And McCullen up in race control. If you have a guess on pit strategy tonight, that would be an interesting bit of information for us here. As it stands right now, everybody is behaving themselves, which I think is what race control wants to see. Quite frankly, we want to see as well. Oh, as Berry almost got into the back of Camargo trying to get in line. That's the problem. It's almost like the old kart days with the Hanford device. You think the gap is there, you try to move into it, and somebody's already filled it because the hole is so big that they punch in the air.
Yeah, you got to be almost instant with your movements, which just creates unpredictability and creates huge accidents.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it. It creates the big one. But, like I said, for as crazy as this looks, I don't think it's that bad on these drivers just yet. The cars look fairly stable-ish. We know the place is bumpy and the car is going to be a little bit unstable. You saw it there. Andrew Berry may have clipped the bump in the middle of turn 2, and that car just started to shoot up towards the outside wall. But it doesn't seem like they're out of control. It's not like we're watching the sprint cars that we just saw at Slinger, where they were all over the place from lap 1. It feels like, at least the visual is, these drivers don't have a crazy handful just yet.
No, and these guys have pit stops, so they can come into the pits for tires. That's one thing you don't get in the Silver Crown or sprint cars, or Silver Crowns for that matter. And you can pit and refuel the cars, and they don't hold a ton of fuel in these things. Only about 11 gallons, and I think they limit them here in TNT to like 7-something gallons. So it's only 50 pounds of weight you're gaining or losing. It's not like the sprint cars where you got 300 pounds of fuel on board. That by the end of the race you have 10 pounds of fuel on board.
Yeah, I think what the question becomes is, do you take tires? And it depends on when a caution flag flies, if a caution flag flies. If you only need to take a couple gallons of fuel to make it to the end, you may not have time to put tires on the race car.
But taking tires in these things only takes 6 seconds, so it's not like a NASCAR race where you're taking just a splash of fuel and it's a 4-second stop versus a 15-second stop. It's a 5-second stop versus a 6-second stop, so I don't see any huge disadvantage taking tires.
Well, I think the big one instead may be how you get on and off of pit lane. You have to enter pit lane from right here at the entrance to turn number 3. Get the car down on the apron and keep it on the apron until you enter pit lane. That will play a huge role if we have to make green flag pit stops.
Yeah, but you have to think, when the first car goes to make their green flag pit stop, it's not unlikely that they have an incident and wreck and bring out the caution.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a difficult pit lane to get on and off of. It's more of just who is aggressive, who can carry the most speed. That will make a huge difference.
Yeah, and in a pack race like this, you're going to want to pit with a group too, so you don't want to get separated from your group when you're coming into the pits.
So Vic Aldrich has led every lap of this race since the start. The AJ Camargo running in second. West Shire, Andrew Berry battling side by side for the third position. James Watson has clawed his way back up there. JJ Wang, your pole sitter tonight, running back in the ninth position. Let's go on board here with James Watson. A little too high on the bend there, but yeah, so there you go. There's Andrew Berry right out in front. And maybe that whole cars were semi-settled thing was a little bit off, because you can see them as they go over the bumps. They are just bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, this is some old pavement here at Rockingham. I believe this track is getting some new pavement now, or it just did get some new pavement, try and bring back the Cup Series here, but this track was very, very bumpy.
Yeah, pretty unpleasant. Simon Fell coming past James Watson here. Well, at least trying to come past. But this is sort of what we talked about. There's no hole there. We'll spin the camera around a little bit. There's nowhere for Simon Fell to kind of slide into.
Yeah, he's just hung out to dry there on the top side, except it's not like the Cup cars where he's falling back. He's just stuck where he is.
Yeah, you're running almost identical lap times. In fact, let's take a look here and go back to the wide look. We do have some data available to us. The 15-lap average for Simon Fell is a 22.653. For James Watson, it's a 22.644. You're talking 9 thousandths of a second is the difference in lap time from the outside lane to the inside. That, to me, screams hard to pass.
Yeah, you're going to need the help. You're going to need people to bobble, make mistakes, and allow you to get underneath them and see if you can suck up to the car in front and get by them.
Now, after the last race, it was not a rule change, but I'll say a clarification was brought to the drivers, letting them know if they wanted something looked at by race control, they could ask for it before they left the session. So if you're involved in an incident, you want race control to review something, you have to ask for it in sim before you leave the session. Race control reserves the right to look at anything they want at any time, and we also can put that up on the screen as well. If an incident is noted by race control, that means they're going to take a look at it after the race. But to this point, we haven't had to use any of that stuff because it has been good, clean racing here. How about Simon Fell working his way forward? He's up to position number 3, trying to go for second on the AJ Camargo.
Yeah, just being nice and patient there on the high side. He's climbed his way through the field without really having to fight for it. Just patience. It's like watching a Buddhist monk just sit and achieve nirvana.
Now, it's could bring something into play here that we have not seen yet, and that is for Vic Aldrich to have to defend the lead. That's something that we haven't really seen yet, where he's had to decide, Do I block the high lane? Do I stay down on the low lane? That car's been smooth. That's not necessarily going to be the case if he has to test the high line waters.
Yeah, especially if he starts jumping up to defend that high line, Nick Camargo's right there on the bottom side to try and take the spot from underneath of him. He's got 2 lanes with a whole ton of momentum right behind him. And it's very difficult to make these tiny little cars very wide. Almost a little bit of contact there between Nick Camargo and Simon Fell.
Yeah,
he said you watch Simon jump all the way to that safety barrier on the outside wall.
Yeah, now things are starting to get a little sporty as that outside lane gets kicked off. And of note, hold up. This race is 100 laps in distance. It is not 50 minutes in length. So with lap number 30 going up on the scoreboard, we're down to 71 laps to go. Irregardless of time, 30 laps took only 11 minutes. If we stay green, this race is going to be over in about 30. That's an entirely different set of calculus that these drivers have done because it takes the variable of time out of the equation.
Now, I'm not one to speculate this, but Wes makes the schedules here, and he is a noted hater of pack racing. So I think he did that so we had 20 less minutes of pack racing.
Well, the other thought is if you have a couple of caution flags, 5 laps around here at pace car speed is fairly slow, and it'll put you up right towards that 50-minute number. But, man, Simon Fell starting to fall back a little bit now. Big slide off of turn number 2. And this is really where the dynamic track could come into play. We'll pull up the weather here. Track temperature sitting at 78 degrees, right about where it was when we started this race. But the more they run on it, the worse certain lines are going to get. May force the drivers on the bottom lane to move up a hair. The guys running the top side, they may have to get up near the wall.
Simon Fell starting to slip back now. Without all that help behind them, that top line has lost its momentum.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're watching a cup race, almost like what we would see on the Sim Racers Club guys, where they would talk about managing energy, and that's a little bit of what it feels like we're doing now. Even seeing Matt Schlosser start to work his way up into the outside lane, that may be enough help to give Simon just a little bit of extra speed. Ed McCullen is, by the way, is saying bingo to your call of Wes wanting to run less time in a pack.
I saw that.
Yeah. When you make the rules, yeah, you get to do what you want.
So it's the chief advantage. It's number one.
That was everybody's worry when Roger Penske bought the IndyCar series. The guy who's always looking for an unfair advantage would just write the unfair advantage into the rules for himself.
Or just put some white out over the lines he doesn't like.
I didn't realize he had changed his last name to France, but okay. Well, we can go with it. So, working lap number 38. Not sure how long the stint was, but if I remember correctly, these cars only did... gosh, probably, 45 laps or so? If it's a one-stop race, we're getting very, very close to that pit window opening.
Yeah, if you know this race is going to be 100 laps, I say slice it in half. Hit it right around lap 50. 49 to 51.
Unless you can go like 65 laps on the fuel tank, at which point then I would think you would do the short pit and not take tires potentially.
I'm still a fan of taking tires.
Splash and dash. And based on how these cars are sliding around here, I would kind of have to agree with that thought of it's, if you got them, you might as well smoke them. You have them in the box, use them up. I can't believe we've gone 15 and 3/4 minutes of hard side-by-side racing, and everybody is just being really well behaved. Even the mid-pack, where we have this kind of side-by-side little bit of hornet's nest stuff going on, everybody's still just being good. I haven't noticed anything really dumb yet.
Yet, that is the key word.
Yeah.
These drivers are known to get very, very racy, and as these laps tick off, you're going to see them get very, very racy.
Well, yeah, that's where you kind of have that thought of when does that happen? Obviously, lap 45 is too early. But do you want to try to make up as many positions as you can before the pit stop? I would have to think that becomes part of the calculus. And you really don't know what the outcome is going to be after the pit stops. Somebody does something crazy. You're talking about potentially having a 2 or 3 car pack that's just broken away from everybody else.
Yeah, and then without a caution, they'll never be caught.
This actually has old IRL pack racing vibes to it, which is... Those races
terrifying.
Were so terrifying you couldn't take your eyes off them. I mean, yes, there were the big wrecks. There was Las Vegas and Texas and all of it. I think back to like the races at Chicagoland, where they would be 3 and 4 wide for the win, separated by thousands for the top 3 positions, 4 or 5 thousandths of a second separating the top 3. It was edge of your seat, must see television if you were a racing fan.
When Hornish won it by what, 3 thousandths of a second in 2002, and then did it again in 2003, but by what, 1.5 thousandths of a second? It's just insane.
Oh, and it looks like here we go. First cars coming down pit lane. The first of your race leaders making their way onto the pit area. Led by Vic Aldrich, the AJ Camargo, James Watson, JJ Wang, and Matt Schlosser all on pit lane here at lap number 50. Cars are down and away. 5.5 seconds for James Watson. 6.5 for Vic Aldrich. JJ Wang down in a lightning quick 4.9 seconds. These cars making their way back out onto the racetrack. The question is, where are they going to be in terms of lap time? The rest of the race leaders have some time to go here. perhaps most importantly, that group is sitting one lap down as they stand right now. If the caution flag were to fly, they would be able to take the wave around and get the lap back, but they would start behind everybody that gets to pit. Seeing a 4X contact, no crash, but a 4X contact between Chris Kresge and Kevin Smalley. Oh, Kresge really getting aggressive there in the middle line.
Are we allowed to play Kenny Loggins? Because I think we're in the danger zone now.
Hide your feet. Paul Tracy has made his appearance in the booth.
It's okay, your name's not Danica.
Yeah.
Although, thanks to our very own Ben Carswell, I have a very nice Danica Patrick hat hanging on my, over my kitchen.
Danica Patrick caught a lot of grief. I can remember watching her in the Toyota Atlantics, that tells you how old I am, at Long Beach, and her car control was phenomenal.
She was a fantastic open-wheel racer, but nobody watches open-wheel racing, so everyone just sees her NASCAR performance and goes, oh, she sucks.
Yeah.
It's like when Kimi Räikkönen hopped in the Truck Series and didn't do anything stellar.
Yeah.
It's two completely different styles of racing. It's like asking an Olympic skier to, I don't know, go swimming. Yeah, he's a tremendous athlete, but he's probably a terrible swimmer.
Oh, Brian LaBarge may have gotten a piece of the outside wall exiting turn 2 that time. Interesting here. Let's take a look. The 5-lap average for Vic Aldrich is a 22.624. For race leader Wes Shire, it's a 22.730. As we're seeing Kevin Smalley start to make his way down onto pit lane, he's pitting solo and could be in a world of trouble. The cars that made their pit stop early are running faster laps than everybody else, as now Brian LaBarge is going to make his way down onto pit lane, as is Simon Fell. Smalley down and away, stop time of 5.8 seconds. Looks like Chris Kresge may be making his way in. Brian LaBarge hits the box. Crew will go to work. LaBarge down and away, 8.1 seconds. Slow stop for LaBarge's team. 5.7 for Simon Fell. Kresge on pit lane. So now, out of this lead pack, 6 cars remaining on the lead lap here. James Watson coming around, Kevin Smalley, Vic Aldrich. These cars are all kind of packed right back up again. Let's pick up this second pack of cars. There's Kresge coming back out onto the speedway. If everything holds, this is going to be absolutely wild. Watson's team, the leader in the clubhouse, with a 32.5 total time spent on pit lane. JJ Wang at a 32.8. He's close, as is Kevin Smalley at a 32.9. Andrew Berry coming around Wes Shire for the race lead here at lap number 65. 36 circuits remaining at Rockingham. And these guys are taking that other approach, which is run the long game and try to spend as little time as possible stopped in the box. Simon Fell, who's ahead of James Watson, was 5.7 seconds. Watson, 5.5. JJ Wang, 4.9, as Dave Sparks now heads for pit lane. These race leaders may only have to spend 3 or so seconds stopped in the box.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about is the tire fall off. With coming lap 90, 95, the critical moments of this race, it doesn't matter what you did the first 99 laps. The only thing that matters is who's take the checkered. Is your car going to be stuck to the racetrack enough to be able to get that checkered flag?
Looks like Stephen C. Thompson and Mike Long making their way onto pit lane here at lap number 67. 68 going up on the board for your race leaders. Dave Sparks finally down to the box. He will clear his stop. 6.8 seconds, and here come your race leaders. 33.6 seconds is the delta. Back to Simon Fell. The average has been about 32.8, 32.9. This is going to be crazy close when they come back out onto the racing surface. Field working a very light, very nice lap number 69. There's your leaders on pit lane. Where is Stephen C. Thompson and Simon Fell? They're making their way off in turn 4. Down and away, Andrew Berry, 6.9 seconds, 5.2 for Westshire.
Berry took tires, and he did not lose that much time in the West. Honestly, that might be the move of the race there.
Oh, man,
Berry able to fight with Simon Fell. He is over a second back from Westshire. West did pick that up, but this pack is going to absolutely freight train West. And on those old tires that he's now heat cycled, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold them off. Berry is going to be your top car here. He's got fresh tires, full tank of fuel, and he's heading this pack.
And now I think is when we start to see things maybe get a little bit crazy as we are down to 30 laps to go. The gap to Westshire is inside of 1 second and closing. Last lap for Andrew Berry, 22.550, a 22.849 for Westshire. You said it, Bizzle, they are catching him in a hurry.
That's exactly why I don't think not taking tires was the move. Yeah.
Well, I wonder, though, was that lap time just because Westshire was running alone?
No, I'm talking about the fact that everyone's caught him back up now, and now it's irrelevant that he didn't take tires and Berry did. Berry is in front of him now, and he took tires.
This may be a battle of who goes with whom. Simon Fell up on the outside. Andrew Berry clears Westshire. Simon Fell trying to make that high side work. But now if tires are an issue, Watson, Fell, anybody else that took tires absolutely must get past Westshire as quickly as possible. Well, we say that, and Berry slides up to the high side, exiting 2. That's going to open the door for Shire to look inside. It is a 10-car pack at the head of the field. Second group 4 cars deep. That's the AJ Camargo, Brian LaBarge, Dave Sparks, and Mike Long. Matt Schlosser running all by his lonesome, about 10 seconds off the pace. Oh, man, this is going to get really crazy here pretty soon as we're down to 25 to go. This actually, you called this race a Talladega for these cars a little bit earlier. That feels like exactly what's going on here. Did you take tires? Yeah, no, it don't matter. Keep the foot down and make a little bit of a left.
Yeah, I'd rather have tires than not. It just gives you the confidence to be nimble with the car.
Huge slide from JJ Wang. off at turn number 2 that time. Trouble for Nietzsche Camargo. Looks like a connection issue. That car just dropped off the face of the earth. Tough break for Nietzsche. And Bizzle, that second group, LaBarge, Long, and Sparks, you almost have to think, are they in a pretty good position? If they get to wadding up race cars here at the front of the field, you might be able to just walk yourself backwards right into victory lane.
Yeah, just stay out of the cartage. Be very quick on your feet and look ahead.
Watson continuing to hold that inside lane with teammates JJ Wang and Vic Aldrich lined up right behind. Aldrich leading a race high 49 laps to start this show off. Barry has led 15, West Shire leading 17 circuits. Of note, these cars running in the big pack are about 2 to 3/10 of a lap faster than Long, LaBarge, and Sparks are, all running nose to tail and trying to catch this pack. Feels like the calm before the storm is what we've got here at the moment, Bizzle.
Yeah, things are about to ramp up. Only 15 laps to go. If you're not towards the front of this field, you want to get there right now.
I have heard the term patiently aggressive used in the past. That's sort of what I'm feeling out of James Watson right now. He's down on the inside. Oh, as JJ Wang has to bail out and head down towards pit lane. Watson has held that car up towards the front of the field when in the lead pack. Oh, see it, car 61, JJ Wang, meatball, and retired. I wonder if he didn't take tires at his pit stop. He was only stopped in the box for 4.9 seconds. Could West Shire be in a similar situation?
Yeah, I'm telling you, taking tires is the move.
Seeing from race control that JJ Wang did have a 2X prior to the meatball. So may have been contact with the wall that got that car the damage. Now at the front, Vic Aldrich showing some speed again here. Leading that inside lane, and James Watson back up on the hunt towards race leader Andrew Berry with 11 to go. Chris Kresge runs fourth. You can't count him out either. He will be one of the more aggressive guys we see here late in this race.
Yeah, watch him on the outside there. He has nothing to lose here, nothing to gain, just going out there for bragging rights. Currently 3 wide with Simon Fell.
Watson down on the inside. Kresge trying to make that outside lane work. Oh, they're getting spicy, and Aldrich and Berry starting to duel as well. Andrew Berry did receive a warning after the last race as well. For kind of the late turn-in fade blocking, it was described as almost the old Ayrton Senna thought process of, I'm putting you in a position where either you crash us both or you back out.
It's kind of like that forum post from earlier this week.
Yeah. Kresge was just up in the 4th position. He's now back to 7th. Man, it's so neat to watch. The outside lane works for a little, then it doesn't, then it does, then it doesn't. Simon Fell with a huge head of steam on Vic Aldrich. Oh, but Fell got a little wide off the corner. It's an interesting line that Andrew Berry is running off of turn number 2. We'll see if he does it again here off of 4. He does. Pinches the car really hard down to the yellow line and then immediately starts fading back. It almost gives the driver that's following no chance to make a move except to try the long way around the outside.
That's exactly what you want to do. With a pack race like this, with how limited these cars are, you want to take the shortest route around this track.
There is something to be said for the short way is the fast way. Which is not always the case. Thinking of you, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Now, are we going to get this second line to form up with 4 laps to go? Simon Fell has Wes Shire and Chris Kresge doing the pushing. When does Vic Aldrich decide to make the move? I think you have to make it before the white flag lap.
Now, are there green-white checkers set up?
That's a great question. I don't think there would be. That is not very Shock Series. No is the answer to that one. This race will end at the scheduled distance.
So there's no way we're going to go flag to flag at a pack race in TNT. This has never happened before. I am knocking on some wood because I just jinxed this race.
Oh man, when does Vic make the move? We're coming down to 1 lap to go. Andrew Berry has been spectacular defending all night long. Watson almost running kind of blocker for his teammate. Aldrich going to make the look to the outside into 3 and 4. Oh, they're going to drag race to the line. Aldrich slides a little bit high. To the line, twin checkers in the air. Andrew Berry gets the win. What a finish. Oh, and they wad him up right past the start-finish line. James Watson is junk. I believe Chris Kresge may be as well. But 50 laps, or excuse me, 100 laps, clean and green, 38 minutes and 25 seconds. Andrew Berry picks up the race win here this evening. So while Andrew Berry burns him down, how about it? 8 cars within 1/2 second at the finish. Berry, Aldrich, and Fell will be on the podium. Wes Shire, Stephen C. Thompson complete the top 5. 6 through 10, Jason Miller, James Watson, Chris Kresge, Dave Sparks, and Brian LaBarge. Second page of the leaderboard will have Matt Schlosser and Kevin Smalley, the final 2 cars on the lead lap. Mike Long, J.J. Wang, and AJ Camargo all finishing 2 or more laps behind your race winner. Oh my goodness, what a show. Let's bring Andrew Berry, our race winner, up into the booth with us here. Andrew, congratulations. A wild show here tonight in the TNT Shock Series. Did it concern you at all when you saw Wes not take tires on the pit stop and jump out to that big gap?
Oh, is that why he got the gap?
Yeah.
I wondered what happened.
He does not sound concerned at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't look at my tires. I didn't have time to look at my tires. So I'm not sure what they were like at the end of that first stint, but it didn't make sense. With as long as we ran, I figured I really should take tires. And with how Wes fell off after that, or at least it seemed like he fell off a little bit after the stop. I think that was probably the right call. But yeah, that was unexpected. I figured I was stuck, around fifth after that first run. I was not expecting to come out in second and then blow by Wes like a lap later. So yeah, that was fun.
And then it was a race you led 34 laps of in the second half. A pretty dominant performance here. Initially, I said it looked like the cars looked like they felt pretty good, and then just a handful of laps in, it looked like you guys had an absolute handful out there. How rough was that racing surface?
The surface itself it's like a sine wave the whole way around. It's pretty rough. The car itself, I think I had the setup to a point where it felt good. But I could not, for the life of me, get down early on. I was just stuck in that outside lane. Every time I would try to pull down, the spotter would say, "Oh, car inside." So it was just I was worried I would get hung out to dry for a while, but I eventually got tucked in and then settled down. And it was just a lot of just not running into Wes for a while.
Well, yeah, it seemed like late in the race, Vic Aldrich was running into something similar. It seemed like the lead car, you could pass anywhere from second on back, but getting past the leader was going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, if I had not gotten Wes when I did, I don't think I would have won that race. I think unless the leader messed up from that point on, it was pretty much that person had a huge advantage. So it was a crazy race. Not really any chance to relax, but
yeah. Don't breathe. Don't say You can blink and breathe now. Congratulations on the win, Andrew. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs or shout-outs you want to get in here.
Yeah, just thanks to everyone that put it on. It was a fun race.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out in the booth with us here. And let's bring in our runner-up finisher tonight, Mr. Vic Aldrich. And Vic, that car was super quick. Started on the pole, well, qualified on the pole. And then you elected to start from pit lane. What was the thought process on that one?
So I actually did not start from pit lane. That was the front row with JJ and James, but I inherited the pole, which I was very fortunate for. And that's the most laps I've led, I think, in a TNT race so far.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, you did. You led 49 laps from the drop here. The car looked really, really good at the front. How did it shake out after the pit stop? Because it seemed like you were able to pass cars until you got caught up to Andrew. And from that point on, it was just almost like you hit a wall of air or something, and the car just did not want to get past him.
Yeah, man, the car was amazing. James and Jeff Mathis worked on a great setup all night, and they delivered it to us today, and it was on fire. I mean, even in practice, you could tell how fast it was, and we were doing a lot of teamwork, and I'm really proud of our team for what we were able to accomplish tonight, even though we didn't get all the results we wanted. It was amazing. The car was really quick, though. I could pass anywhere. I felt like at any time I could have got around Andrew Berry if I wanted to, but I was kind of waiting and holding with James because he was low on fuel, and I wanted to make sure he was able to make it to the end, which he just barely didn't. But we were just kind of working it together as a team, and I was waiting until those last two laps. And what I was doing with Andrew, I was kind of like, the car felt exactly the same from lap 1 to lap 99, but off of turn 2, I was trying to deke him down left and get him to block left, and he was doing that consistently, and I feel like if I forced it I could have got by there, but instead I waited to the last lap and kind of set him up on that to go high, and I know my car was really good on the high side. I was able to hold cars off on the low line and even pass people during practice, so I felt pretty confident. but I hit a bump or something, and 3 and 4 sent me up the track about half a lane, and that was all it took. I think, it might have been a nose and photo finish at the line had I been able to keep it a little lower, but Andrew had a great race, and I didn't want to do anything to compromise his finish, and it was just a really clean, fun race. I loved doing this one.
Yeah, this one was a blast. Blast to call. I'm sure a lot of fun to drive in as well. Vic, congratulations on the podium here. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs for us.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I'd like to thank you guys here at NRN, National Racing Network. You guys are awesome with what you do with the broadcasts and supporting us and giving us a place to race. So I really appreciate that, and thank you. Team Watson Racing, I got a lot of great teammates there. James, Nij, we had JJ tonight. Everyone just works together so well, and it's really awesome to see. We also have a lot of teammates that weren't here tonight that help us with our practice and everything, so thank you to them. And Martin Sports, Main and Tail, Dizzy V Designs. I do my own paint scheme, so if anyone's looking for a paint scheme, just hit me up. And I'd also like to thank, it's kind of hard, but I lost my brother last year, and I've been trying to get that first win for him so bad. And I thought this was the night. I know he was riding with me, and I got him on the side of my car for every race, and I was doing this for him. And I know he was riding with me, and just came up a little short, but we're going to get that first win for him soon.
Vic, I have no doubt about that, brother. Surf Gonzo was his name. He was a regular checking in the comments with us. Miss getting to hear him from him on a week-to-week basis. But Vic, congratulations once again. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here up in the booth. And now we're going to talk to our third place finisher, Mr. Simon Fell. And Simon, we were following you a lot this race. It seemed like the car was so good on the outside line. Ultimately, just for whatever reason, when you got to the very front, the car just did not want to pass the leader on the outside. You got to be proud of the result, though. A really fantastic drive.
Yeah, great finish, and the car was really good here, but just can't quite make the outside line work enough.
Yeah, as the race progressed, you kind of had you were up at the front, then you made the pit stop, you were a little bit further back, electing to stop at lap number 60, some of the other leaders coming later. How does that kind of shake out mentally where you're going, okay, I just have to trust that this strategy is going to work for me?
Yeah, I figured no one would take tires, and so didn't matter too much where you pitted in between the first guy that pitted and the last guy that pitted, as long as you made a reasonable job at it.
Well, it was a fantastic drive for you tonight here, Simon. Congratulations on the podium. And if you have any sponsor plugs or shout-outs you want to get in here, now's your chance to do it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a good finish. Best one in a long time.
Yes, sir, it was. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out in the booth with us here. And man, Simon sounded almost winded. I think a lot of these guys are winded. That's a lot of mental stress. We talk about that when they run at Talladega, Daytona, Bizzle. A very similar situation here where you're you're on edge for 100 straight laps, because even your in lap and your out lap is not really a chance to breathe.
Yeah, hey, you're wide open, flat out the whole time, inches away from wrecking the car for 100 laps. It gets incredibly straining on the mental side. But if you want some physical strenuation instead, we have Fast Masters here again at Rockingham. It is pouring rain out, driving the Formula Ford, trying to drive turn 1 and 2 in the oval right now, and it is absolute death. Holy crap. I can't turn at all. You all should get in here. This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds borderline miserable, but all right, we'll give it to you. I just may jump in the car for the Fast Masters session here. We'll see, but all in all,
there's the pile of us, me, Steven, and Wes, as the track turns into the road course portion, all three of us were crashed in the safer barrier there. So
that's awesome.
Come on down and wreck some race cars.
Well, we've got one more race coming up for you this week here on the National Racing Network. Thursday night, the USF Pro Series pays a visit to Okayama. That one is going to be really good, and a huge week of racing next week. Monday night, Silver Crowns at North Wilkesboro. Tuesday night, TNT Shock Series at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll kick that night off with the sprint cars visiting North Wilkesboro. Thursday, the USF Pro heads to Zolder. Then it is Vintage IMSA weekend at Road America on the iRacing platform. And we will have the Spec Corvette Series coming to you from Buttonwillow Raceway. Whole lot of stuff here coming up on NRN. You don't want to miss any of it. But until then, for Patrick Byrne and everybody else here at NRN that gets these shows on the air, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.